Wind and Fire. Listen to this. They got a fantasy. I love that music. You know, they're based out of Los Angeles. That sound is awesome. And let's listen to the first line before we start in. On mind control. Has a long build-up. Get the rhythm. Figure it out. Open your brain. Open your eyes. Everyone has a place. It's a fantasy. Let's begin. Mass mind control. I studied psychology. I realized the tools of manipulation, of persuasion. That's not really psychology. You know what that is? That's called the Pavlovian response. And one of Hitler's advisors, who had a doctorate degree, said if you tell a lie enough times, people start thinking it's the truth. Why are you saying that, Andy? That's so evil. We should believe everything the government tells us. They're worried about us for our best interest. Well, if you believe that way, wake up. Let's look at that first slide. Mind control. How did it begin? In our society. Well, every ad is a mind control. They set up a fantasy which engages your higher level thinking. When they say, imagine what the world would be like if we could just do this. If we could just get a carbon tax, everyone will live in the clouds. We'll have flying cars. Here's the deal. The Central Intelligence Agency is an expert agency in persuasion, in mind control, in Pavlovian responses. Let's look at the history. There's an interesting book, if you ever want to look it up on the internet, Encyclopedia of the Central Intelligence Agency. Their mission was to shape foreign policy, win the hearts and minds. Have you ever heard that before? Talk to your relatives that fought in the Vietnam War. They said that they were there to win the hearts and minds of the Vietnamese people. Well, it's a carryover from the Cold War, and they actually edited lines in 1950 movies. They removed lines and put in politically correct. That's where we got it from. That term was taken directly out of those documents from the Central Intelligence Agency. In 1996, if you can look this up, you say, hey, you're just lying. I live in California. Here's the deal. They actually have a Hollywood liaison. There's a name there, Chase Brandon. I don't know him. I just looked it up on the internet. Next slide. All right. Look at your kids as they're watching TV. Are they monsters like that kid sitting on the top left? He should be out jogging around the block. Should be playing on a baseball team, running around a soccer field, but instead he's sitting there ingesting those high fructose, high fat, high salt content products while he's being mind controlled. Oh no, Andy, my son can get up anytime he wants. Yeah, but he's watching the commercials. He's watching the programming, which includes a CIA clearance. Look at the kid in the middle. Now, when I used to go, and a lot of my contemporaries, I'm almost 60. We used to go down the cereal aisle with my mom. My mom used to avoid it. I'd always scream out, Mom, we got to go to the cereal aisle. Why? I was already pre-programmed to look for Captain Crunch, Lucky Charms. My favorite was Corn Flakes, Life. All those products have what? High fructose, high corn syrup, and some of them are not even cereal. It's just one candied item after another. Look at a bowl of Lucky Charms and see if you want your kids to eat that stuff. So, cereal commercials are a fact of TV programming on Saturday morning. Anytime there's a cartoon, there's usually a cereal commercial. They're not directed toward me. They're directed toward children. So when you take your kids, they're pre-programmed drones to go down that aisle and start screaming for that product. It used to be $2, $3 for a box. Inflation adjusted, it's still more now at $5, $6 a box. Do children respond on the cereal aisle? I can't respond to that because my children are 30s, 28, 29 years old already, but I remember how I responded or reacted, or Pavlovian conditioning. Next slide. Okay, for the adults, how many people watch the Super Bowl commercials? I actually look forward to them because it shows the pinnacle of the evolution of mind control. And there's some prurient interest. I'm not going to lie to you. Look on the one on the left. Look at that young lady. I remember that commercial. I was not looking at the hamburger, okay? Super Bowl food commercials are the most watched. Not the beer ones, not the car ones. People kind of groan at a car. They got a car, buddy. I don't get one for another 3 years. Water, anything to do with food are the most watched. Super Bowl food commercials are the most expensive. All of those commercials, you might hear $4 million for a $30 second. You don't know that. That ad for food probably costs more because they know they can get more out of them. The audience is there to be influenced, number one, entertained, number two. If you can entertain and influence at the same time, it's a gold mine. Next slide. What is the food effect of media, or how about media effect on food selection? Our young people are influenced by media inducements. Do you believe it? No. My children, I've been teaching them to think on their own, really. Every time you drive by a McDonald's, what are they asking for? They're asking for the toy, and sometimes not the food, but the toy is related to Happy Meal. When we drove by McDonald's, my dad would reach back, grab me by the shoulder and say, hey, you want a Happy Meal? Well, get happy. He was looking at the base cause and the motivation, rather than the programming. Why does a Happy Meal make kids happy? Is it that they are being programmed, they satisfy that program, they realize their fantasy? Think about it. Can children be encouraged to eat healthy? Well, that's a mystery. Oh, I hear children nowadays say, oh, I don't like peas. I'm allergic to that. You know what we used to do in my house? And you know, might say, hey, Andy, your parents were psychotic. Everybody eats the same stuff, period. And even the dog eats the leftovers. Look at these children eating McDonald's. How do you feel about 30 minutes after eating McDonald's when that high fructose corn syrup is worn off? Do you feel lethargic? Do you feel satisfied? It's the salt and the sugar or high fructose corn syrup in the drink, in the buns, in the meat sometimes. They say, oh, no, we only sprinkle salt and pepper. It's in everything there. Look at the kid on the right. You'll never see a kid smile for eating a broccoli, but they should. Makes them stronger and bigger. Next slide. Does our food choice affect our health? You better believe it. Come on. You eat that grease-saturated French fry. Tastes delicious. It's great. Mayonnaise. Look at the ingredients of mayonnaise. It's a chemical composition which you won't believe. Especially mayonnaise and some of its preservatives. Look at the French fry again. If you get a French fry from McDonald's, it's going to be different from Burger King. It's going to be different. All of them. They're similar things, but they put in different things. Some of them have MSG. Ask about it next time. Fatigue. What does that mean? That means you're too slow, you're too tired, because the body needs certain chemistries to digest the food. The sugar gives you a quick high, then drops you off on a cliff. Saturated fat, trans fats, they increase your risk. I've already talked about this. Again, French fries are soaked in hot oil. I call it grease. Fat foods are low in fiber. You need fiber. You need that plant material to help things go down your digestive system. If you don't have enough plant material, I'm not just suggesting you become a vegetarian. Some people take that a little too far. I'm not encouraging you to become a pescatarian. I only eat fish, Andy. Think before you order those fries and raw hamburger. Next slide. All right, beer commercials. I've had one, as I've talked to my technician, one of my discussions, my advisements, banned because it talked about the horrible effects of alcohol. Maybe this one will be banned. I don't care. Ban it. That's a new thing from the current politically correct crowd. Ban. Well, look on the girl on the left. She's serving you a beer. Is that a reality of a beer drinker? Or is the reality a car crash? Or fighting over pretzels in an alley of a bar? Which one's reality? Or beating up your wife? Look at the picture on the right. Everybody's so happy, so young, so wonderful. Is that reality? That everybody's young and awesome? Anything that goes for wine, liquor, or beer, they'll put anything up there to condition you to say alcohol means young chicks are going to approach me. Alcohol means I'm going to have a wonderful life. That's a fantasy. When I talk about Pavlov, let me just briefly go through that. He had a dog, and every time a bell rang, there would be food there. And they did that over and over and over, enough so that dog, if it bell rang, he went up there looking for the food. Sometimes they didn't have food, but he still went up there. That's what we're getting in these commercials. It's a classic manipulation, a classic inducement, a classic lie. No government interferes because the industry self-regulates. What does that mean? When you regulate thieves, that means they can break into your house at least once a month. That sounds fair, doesn't it? The thieves got to live. The good life and drink responsibly. Have you ever seen those ads? Oh, you can have the good life, but you just need to drink responsibly. Oh, you might have a crash once in a while. You might get one or two DUIs. Hey, that's part of life. Does that sound like it's logic that makes sense to you? If it is, wake up. They never report the crimes directly related to alcohol, like murders, rapes, car wrecks. I will tell you, I grew up every with my dad every Sunday, going and getting the drunks out, going and checking them out. At the time, it was very inexpensive. Now, we've had a little more realization in society that alcohol directly relates to crimes, if you will, harm to people. Next slide. All right, mind control via the media. Wake up, people. Look at that slide on the left. These are controlled media outlets. I'm not a controlled media outlet. It shows a picture of Hitler up there. Oh, Andy, you're just a paranoid conspiracy theorist. Maybe. But what I'm saying to you, all those outlets, newspapers, television, they're controlled by about 10 corporations. I think some people say it's 6. But the board members are identical. I did the same thing with you on food. Somebody's controlling it all. Adolf Hitler says, make the lie big, make it simple, keep saying it, and eventually they'll believe it. Are you one of those people? If you are, you're living in a dream world. Look at that little graphic on the right. Here's us watching a television. I've been watching television since I was a kid. Every Saturday morning, I used to watch the cartoons and wait for the science fiction movies. Food consumption is the most important decision you'll ever make during a day. Your body is the only one issued to you. Do you have any other body you can switch to? That's one of the big fantasies that our society is building. You can transport your consciousness into a computer. That's a lie. All right, here are my suggestions. Wake up. Last slide. When they serve you a pizza, what are you eating? When you're watching a movie, wake up. Refuse to be brainwashed by these people. Everything's carefully designed for you to make decisions to buy their products. They have what they call movie placement. If you see your hero drinking a Coke, Coca-Cola paid for that. Your body should be your top priority in your life. If not, you're going to be talking to a doctor about a disease like cancer or whatever. I admonish you to wake up about your food and don't be hypnotized by these commercials. Thank you very much.